I'm a little late to the party, but I finally got round to watching Dogman. Now, if you didn't already know, I am a massive fan of the Dogman and Captain Underpants books. In fact, Dave Pilkey's library of books in total. And when I found out they were making a Dogman movie, I was really optimistic because I actually had a lot of fun with the Captain Underpants movie. It wasn't perfect, but there was a lot of fun references and Easter eggs, and I thought they adapted the source material really, really well. And I think the next best thing is to do Dogman. And the film came out back in February. I watched the trailer for it, got excited for it, actually did a reaction on my YouTube channel. And for some reason, I just never got around to watching it. Captain America Brave New World came out I think a week after or before Dogman came out. And I just genuinely was really busy at the time, so just couldn't really get around to watching it. However, I finally managed to watch Dogman, and let me just say, I found this to be a very well adapted, fun, action-packed family film. So with that said, let's get started with the review of Dogman. And like I said, with me being a big fan of the source material, I was very, very satisfied with the product. The film is just so beautifully animated, and I love how it's different to not only just animated films in general, but the Captain Underpants film, because this has the approach where they look drawn, they look comic booky, but they also look like kind of like stuffed toys or something. Like they look like that. They look kind of like dolls, and it's really like the humans do. It's really, really difficult to approach, but it looks very, very good. It's colorful, it's beautiful. I managed to watch this in like 4K HDR, and it really, really paid off. Much like a lot of animated films these days. And the film is just jam-packed with that Dave Pilkey magic. And some of that, I think, does come down to the humour. Is the humour, I think, with the first Captain Underpants movie, it's very clever because it did something which a lot of people don't really like, including myself, with animated films, which is constant fart jokes and potty humour. And while it did have that, it knew it was making fun of itself, and it was very clever with the humour. This one takes a similar approach. While it's not really potty humour, it's more like meta humour. It's humour which is kind of geared towards an older generation. Of course, there are some little jokes there for the younger children. There's also some like really relatable and funny jokes about like there's different characters and like stereotypes that people have who they work with, which is really funny. And there's just like really specific pointed out things, which is really, really funny within the film. I'm not going to go too much detail into it, but if you've seen the film, you probably are aware of what I'm talking about. The characters as well are very fun and well voiced. I feel like the trailer hid a lot about the characters and the individual character arcs which we were going to be getting. But I thought they were all played really, really well. I think the standout for me was Lil Rel Howery as the chief of police. He was like always, other than Dogman and maybe Petey, like my favourite character, very human character within the the books, because he was always just really, really funny. And just had a lot to offer as a character, and was given a little character arc, and he gets a little character arc here. Maybe a little bit more screen time would have been better, but it's alright. They still did a good job. And we've got Isla Fisher as Sarah Hasselhoff, who does a great job, no surprise. And we also have Ricky Gervais as Flippy the fish. I've got a couple of little things to talk about Flippy in a second, but when he was on screen, still thought he did a really, really good job. I wasn't too sure about that one, but I was pleasantly surprised by his job. And we've also got Pete Davidson as Petey the cat, who is really interesting because the film kind of goes on this other side thing within the kind of middle half of the film, because Dogman is a character who can't verbally speak. He doesn't, he doesn't have voice lines. He just makes sound effects. He barks, he pants, he does all these dog things, but he doesn't actually have any physical speech. So this is going to be something which some people respond to really, really well, and some people don't. I think the people who have read the books are going to respond to it better than others. Is that kind of throughout the middle of the film, we kind of are passed on to the character of Petey, and we kind of learn more about his character and his journey. And the film dives into themes of abandonment, which is really, really strong. And I think that is something which DreamWorks films have really gotten right recently. I think when you look at The Wild Robot is a film about motherhood. This is a film about abandonment. And I think, you know, you look at like Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, that is about death and accepting your life. And this is another one which is quite a heavy theme, but is also tackled really, really well. I think, you know, the theme is a bit lighter in this one. It's not as heavy as kind of The Wild Robot or Puss in Boots. It's not as heavy or as big of a storyline, but that is, if you haven't read the books, that is a big thing within the books. And the story is, it's about abandonment and accepting what happened in the past and embracing the future. And that's a really, really strong message within this film. And, you know, I just think the way that it tackles it is really, really sweet, because it doesn't feel the need to shove it down your throat by any means, or, you know, constantly be getting back to it. It's just there. And it's done well. I was satisfied with it, the way that it did it. And I think, you know, maybe people who have experienced the same thing may relate quite well to it. So just keep that in mind. It's good. It's strong. It's not the main theme of the film. It's probably going to go over a lot of kids' heads who have no idea what it is, but it's still really strong little storyline within the film. So with that said, let's get on to the mixed aspects of the film. And I've not really got anything mixed to say. There's no mid or post credit scene. I guess I could say that, you know, some people are going to complain that P.T. the cat does become kind of the main character more than Dogman does. But I don't think it's that much of an issue, because that is something which is heavy inspired by the book. So it didn't bother me. It might only bother a couple people who haven't read the books. But apart from that, it's not that much of an issue. So with that said, guys, let's move on to the bad of the film. And I think the film kind of does do the fast-paced thing. And I get that this is a kids animated film in the year 2025. And there's been so many animated films recently where I've complained that I feel like they're moving just a bit too fast and they're throwing too much information at you. I will say I felt a bit overwhelmed by this one. I kind of felt like the backstory of Dogman is explained at the beginning of the film, and it's very, very quick. It's very, very, very quick. And then we kind of whiz through the story and life and daily routine of Dogman so quickly, so we can get on to the next thing. And it just feels like the first 20 minutes are constantly throwing information at you that if you haven't read the books, I genuinely think this is a situation where you might feel a bit overwhelmed or confused. Obviously I wasn't, because I've read almost all of the books, but if you've never heard of Dogman, I think you might just feel really, really overwhelmed. And I think as well, the film goes so heavy on adapting the books that I think there's going to be people who, once again, haven't read the books who are going to be like, how did we go from a talking cat and his son to walking, talking buildings? That is going to confuse some people. And it's things like that which are just quite noticeable within the film, but it's not an issue. I just thought the film could have been paced a little bit better. I thought we were kind of rushing a bit too much. I get that, you know, I think the thing and the goal with a lot of 2025 animated movies is that we move at a brisk pace, because these TikTok iPad kids don't have the attention span to watch a full 1 hour and 40 long minute film. But I'm just saying, we could have, I think from the middle to the end, it's pretty strong. I just think maybe we could have slowed down a bit, which is funny because towards like the last 10 minutes, I was like, this is dragging. And I was like, why couldn't we devote a few minutes from the final battle, from the very, very long final battle, to the beginning and the backstory? Because I thought the final battle and the ending was a bit too long, but I thought that could have been left and we could have extended the beginning a bit. So maybe we wouldn't have to extended the runtime, but still wasn't that much of an issue. I mentioned Flippy the Fish. He kind of feels a bit shoehorned in. I think because the film was trying to tackle so many themes that I feel like Flippy he just felt like such a side thing that kind of every 10 minutes we would cut back to him and would explain a new bit of information about him and then throw him in. I kind of feel like it would have been better if we kept the original thing where he wasn't like a robot. We kind of kept the first thing with the treasure chests, if you've read the books in Dogman Unleashed, the second book. I think if we'd done that, it might have worked a bit better. Because I feel like Flippy the Fish is like a sequel character. He's not a character that you really introduced within the first film. I kind of thought that was a bit odd, but still Ricky Gervais does a solid job. I just kind of felt like he was a bit rushed and he just felt a bit shoehorned in, and kind of the only reason for having a big gigantic climactic final battle in the climax of the film. So in that regard, it's kind of a bit odd that they included him, but I still kind of get why they included him, so it's all right. But all in all, guys, I thought this was a really, really, really fun film. I was very, very satisfied with this. Is it better than the Captain Underpants movie? I'm not quite sure, but this is where I toss it off to you guys. Please let me know your thoughts on Dogman down below in the comment section. Did you like me to change it somewhere in the middle? Please do comment, like, and subscribe. Share this video with your friends and family. And let me know what you would like to see for the future of these Dav Pilkey adaptations. I would love to see a Captain Underpants 2, and in fact a Dogman 2. A Dogman 2 would be great. This is like a solid like 8.5 out of 10 from me, so I would 100% take another one, and we can expand and do things and maybe introduce like the superhero characters and stuff like that, with like Little Petey and Dogman and all of that stuff. There's so much potential, and maybe a Super Diaper Baby movie in the future. Ook and Clunk was another one. I'm trying to think of some other ones. They're like the 4 main ones. But with all that said, guys, thanks for watching. Please comment, subscribe, share this video with friends, and see you guys next video. Goodbye.